Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream today. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving and a good week last week. If you got time off work or got to see your family, hope that was all good. I do want to do a quick what sold part of the video since I didn't do one this week. I had a lot of great sales this past week over Thanksgiving, so I wanted to show some of those. And I'll work on getting that set up on the other side of the screen. In the meantime, I want to show you the postcard of the week, which is this card in, let me check. I should have, I believe it's Dalton, Georgia. Let me check the back though to make sure. But this is one I bought at the York Postcard Show for my own collection. And I'm always looking for good camera shops. And a lot of dealers, most dealers in fact, don't really have a category for them. So I think this one was under maybe advertising or stores. Yeah, so it is in Dalton, Georgia, and this postcard was made in 1982, I believe, because it says through February 28th, 1982, you can get one free roll of Kodak film with every roll developed in our own color lab. So this postcard, all things considered, it's not super old in the world of postcards. I know 43 years old now is getting up there, but compared to other postcards, this is just a baby. But really cool studio camera shop. And one of the reasons why I like these camera shops is not many like them exist anymore because, film is, some people still use film, but overall film definitely isn't used as much as it was. And people have moved on to taking photos with their phone. And I think people are even using digital cameras more and more. But I think film is making a comeback. Unfortunately, there still aren't many camera shops around, so I'm gonna keep collecting them. But this is just a really nice storefront. Got the Kodak signs, mini Kodak signs on it. Two on the top sign, then a sign in the window, and the nice little display there. I didn't even notice that at first, but you can see a little jack-o'-lantern on the left side of the window, so maybe this picture was taken around, or it was definitely in fall because of the leaves on the tree. So if we're trying to date this, maybe it was taken in fall of 1981 and it was mailed to customers to try to get them in the door. Because it is like a coupon on the back says to bring it in to get the free roll of film if you get one developed. And I do have, I don't know exactly what I'm up to now in my collection. As far as just camera shops, I probably have about 10, but I have a lot of other storefronts in my own collection too. And I like early ones too, but I really like chrome ones, linen ones especially. Really all eras of the storefronts like this I think are neat. And stores like this and other businesses too, such as restaurants, motels, and hotels. But stores in particular are most often not going to be around anymore. I don't know what it was, but it seems like restaurants and stores are much shorter lived than hotels and motels. Maybe because hotels and motels, the name might have changed, but the building can't really be redeveloped into anything else. But stores like this, another business can easily take its place. So businesses like this might not have been around too long, which makes them even cooler to collect in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to work on the, I said I was going to be working on it, but I'm just pulling up some of the cool sales from this last week to show. I did have some really good ones actually. I think it is, I think it's the holiday season and sales picking up. Let me know in the chat if your sales have picked up as well. But my sales have been doing really well the last couple weeks. And okay, this is the lowest price one. And hopefully that continues into the holiday season and beyond forever. But no, I've been listing a lot of the postcards I got from York. I decided that I wasn't going to make a video about what I got from York until I listed all of the cards because I've never done this before, but I thought it would be cool to give you the what I paid for the cards and also the total listed amount of the cards. And based on the listed amount, I can tell you what I expect to eventually make from selling off the cards. So I think that'll be really neat, and that's why I'm waiting on doing the video for York. But also, I do have another video from York that isn't talking about what I bought that I just haven't edited yet because I've been lazy. But hopefully, I have some extra time here soon to edit, and we'll get that video out. But yeah, I have a couple videos actually that I just have to work on to edit. The big sale, I won't really, I'll maybe show a couple from the big sales I had this past week, but I had a few buyers come in and buy huge multi-quantity orders. Like one buyer, I think I actually had to use a box, which I haven't used since I did Whatnot shows, because I rarely have orders that are like over 15 postcards, but this buyer bought, I want to say, around 30 plus postcards. So I had to break out a box that I used to only use for Whatnot shows and ship it in that box in a bubble mailer. So that was pretty nice. I had that sale, I had another big sale, and then a few other smaller sales that were around 5 to 10 cards. So really, really good weekend sales, even though I wouldn't have necessarily expected it because it is a holiday, and people are, at least at the beginning of the week and on Thanksgiving Day, spending times with their family. Things really picked up. I'll show you the day by day here in a minute. Things really picked up um, after Thanksgiving. So starting at Friday, Black Friday, I guess people were in the mood to do some shopping, and that's when my sales really started doing well. Let me catch up with the chat here. Philip Biderbeck says, hello all. Welcome in, Philip. Vintage by Jim says, hi, Daniel and viewers. Welcome in, Jim. And Nancy, one of my favorite regulars, says hello, hello. Alan, another one of my favorite regulars, says hello too. Yes, my sales have been best I've had with all the listing I've been doing. Sorry, I read the words correctly, but I didn't get the cadence right. Hello too. Yes, my sales have been best I've had with all the listing I've been doing. That's great. I had an INR and refused to refund since the sale was on August 6th. No other contact prior. No tracking info comes up now. And ESE, too late to file lost postcard. We'll wait to see what eBay does. It's a $5 card. Yeah, that's strange. I don't really know. I mean, I guess I can see if a buyer buys a lot of cards on eBay and they might not notice one is missing, but I mean, I don't buy a ton of postcards on eBay, but if something like that was missing, I wouldn't wait. What is that? Almost 4 months to try to resolve the issue, and I don't know. They might have not ever received it, and they might actually have an issue with their transaction. I usually trust the buyers in situations like that, but I would just tell them, yeah, you unfortunately waited too long, and I can no longer offer a refund. I'm very sorry. I would say something like that. Uh, but yeah, that's quite a long time to wait, and I don't know. I don't buy a lot of $5 postcards on eBay, so I can't really relate too much because it's not like I'm getting 10 $5 postcards in the mail every day. I do probably buy, I don't know, 1 to 2 postcards a week on eBay for my collection, something like that, maybe a little less. But yeah, all of them, it's not too many where I'm not able to keep up with how many I have coming in. All right, I have my sales ready, so I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. Okay. I do have a bonus postcard of the week if it is requested, ready to go. I know last week we did 3, so this show will have to be a little bit shorter. I still have a good bit of work to do today, and yeah, just don't have time to do a really long show, so probably going to keep this one at 45 minutes to an hour or so. Let me share my screen. Okay, my computer is not working. If you all can still see me, let me know. Okay, there we go. It just froze up for a second. Okay, there we go. Arc tab. Now I need to share the window and share my sales. I apologize in advance because I know the quality isn't that great. So, I don't know. I'll read you the numbers if you can't see them. LOL, I know $5 card, lose the customer probably. I know there's so many. I check every now and then, but so many, or such a large portion of my buyers are first time buyers that I don't really worry about potentially losing a customer just because there's so many customers. If it's somebody that I recognize their username, I might worry about it because I do have repeat buyers that I recognize their username and name and they've messaged me on multiple occasions and stuff like that. But if it's just, you know, somebody, some random person, I wouldn't worry about it. So yeah, these are my sales for this past week. And you probably can't read that because it looks pretty blurry on my screen, so I'm going to assume it's even blurrier on your screen, just refreshing that to make sure I am live. But my total sales this past week were 25.94.21, up 51% from the prior week. And it wasn't because I was listing. I think it's just because people were shopping more this last week and buying more postcards. But yeah, it wasn't because I was listing more, because I only listed 2 days last week, and I put my store on time away. But as you can see here, sales definitely picked up. Sales weren't bad at all on Thanksgiving, actually, but the best day of the week was Friday, so beginning of the week was kind of middling. 228 Monday, 329 Tuesday, 324 Wednesday. Then yeah, actually had a really good day on Thanksgiving. 468. Then did 564 Friday, 407 Saturday, and 271 Sunday. So all in all, a pretty good week and got some good sales to show you all. This one is my lowest dollar sale of the week. This postcard had been up for a long time. The SKU is 5707, so 2021 or early 2022 I listed this card, which isn't super long in the grand scheme of things. I know some sellers have postcards that have been up for decades, but this postcard is a really common view. Federal Building, which I think is the post office, Cincinnati, Ohio, and listed for $329, which I guarantee you I did not price that based off of comps when I was pricing these cards. Well, actually, maybe I did that one. I don't think I did, but I think this one was at the era when I just had a set price for cards and I was experimenting with different price points, and I would price every card at a certain price no matter what. And I think I started off at like $3.99 or started off at $2.99 and gradually moved up. And then when I got to $7.99, I wasn't selling as many cards, and I was like, okay, I just need to individually price these things, and that's what I ended up doing. But this one, 247. Somebody sent me an offer for $1.50, and I took it. I mean, anytime I can sell one of these cards, it's good to just clear out older inventory. This was a cool one. It's a Buick Model 10, the car that made Flint, Michigan famous. It's an older card, 1910 is the postmark, from Flint, Michigan. I don't know if I took an offer on this one. I usually look up before the video if I sent or accepted an offer. So this one I may have took an offer for around 13, or it could have sold for 14.96. I'm not sure. This one was a cool card and very recent. So you can see they've got a website in the bottom left corner. It says Blockbuster, which isn't around anymore, but any card that has Blockbuster on it is going to be pretty modern. Jay-Z, Sprite. So this, I dated it to 2002, and I think, yeah, I think I just looked up the tour. It doesn't have any year on it, but I looked up when they were doing this tour, and it was 2002. And yeah, you would not find Sprite sponsoring a rap tour anymore with all the issues that they have in the industry with lean and yeah, Sprite. I just thought that was pretty funny that they were the sponsor of that. But a lot of big names on here. I put a few in the title: Jay-Z, Nerd, Nappy Roots. Those are the headliners. And Hoobastank, is that a... I've never heard of that group. Let me look up them actually. I obviously left them out of the title, but I'm assuming that's a rap group. Okay. Looks like a boy band maybe. Hoobastank. Yeah, let me know if you are a fan of Hoobastank. To me, they don't really fit in with the rest of the names on there. I guess they're Def Jam, which is the label that was doing the tour, or Rockefeller Records. Yeah, that every other name on there that I recognize is a rap group or rapper, and Hoobastank does not look to be a rap group. But this, anyway, I listed this one 1995, which I thought was a little bit. I priced it up because there was nothing like this out there, and even though it wasn't super old, I mean, I am older than this postcard, which is very rare. Unfortunately, it will become more and more common as time goes on that I'll be older than the postcards I'm selling. But this one, 2002, I didn't. 1995 is about as high as I would go for a Continental card that doesn't have an established market or any previous sales. It did. I did get some questions and some people making me offers and sending me messages about this card, and it was listed. I don't know if I can check that. Yeah, it was listed earlier this year in February, so took what 10 months to sell, 9, 10 months. But somebody did pay $14.96 for it. I thought it was a really cool card, and yeah, I can't sing enough praises of Continental cards. I will buy Continental cards at good prices all day long. Not all of them are like this. A lot of the Continental type cards are really scenic views, mountains, trees, sticks, rivers, ponds. But cards like this that evoke a sense of nostalgia, I think, are always going to have a market. And I can almost guarantee that the buyer of this card is going to be somebody younger. Like, it's not your typical postcard collector who's buying this card. It's not, a 70 or 80-year-old man buying this card. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Anyway, just thought that was a really good one. I did have some, like I said, I had some messages about it. What I meant to say was, or I meant to expand upon that and say that, I got offers of I think around $8 to $10, and I didn't really think they were unfair because this card didn't have an established market, but I did decline them at the time. Just said no, sorry. I think I'm going to try to get a little bit more for it, but yeah, when a card doesn't have an established market, I don't know. I don't really think an offer like that is unfair because one has never sold before. But 14.96, I'm very happy with. This is a card I got in York. There's no price on the back. I don't know. Probably like $2 I paid for this one. It's an early Georgia card, Clarksville, Georgia, and I do have a really expensive card I bought from York. One of the most expensive cards I bought in York to sell. I will show you later in the video. It sold very quickly. Maybe I should have took more or held out for more. I'll let you decide. But really nice Georgia. I don't think I've ever seen any Clarksville, Georgia cards before. I've seen Clarksville, Tennessee, but Clarksville, Georgia is a really small mountain town, I believe. Let me look it up now. Sure, I believe it's in the I'm 90% sure it's in the mountains. Oh shoot, did I spell it wrong? Yeah, I think it might have sold. I mean, it sold really quickly, but I did spell it wrong. It was spelled wrong on the postcard though. Yeah, Clarksville's in the mountains. It's straight north of us. So just up the highway north in the mountains near the Helen, Georgia. If anybody's familiar with Helen, it's a pretty big tourist German town or whatever. Yeah, it was spelled wrong on the card, but yeah, spelled it wrong in my title too. I usually try to fix that to help buyers find it, but this one, I guess it didn't hurt. I took $17 for that card. This one is another one I got at the show, and I think I probably did pay $4 before discount. I got like 20 to 25% off at most dealers, so ended up paying a little over $3 for this card probably. Maybe I paid too much, but I had sold this card before, and I knew it sells for $15 to $20. So if I see a card that I know I can easily sell for 3 to 4 times, I don't know if I'll always buy it, and maybe I should try to hold out for a little bit more. But yeah, probably turned $3 into $17.95, so I could do worse. But yeah, I've sold this card at least once before, and I've seen it. It's not a super uncommon card, but it does sell pretty regularly in the $15 to $20 range. And that one did go for $17.95. Let me catch up with the chat here before we do the rest of what sold. Nancy said, just got off the phone with eBay, canceling a suspect order, and eBay confirmed was going through a drop shipping warehouse in Portland, and it will not count against me for canceling. The buyers in Japan contacted me about an offer, and could I just change the price? Friend in US will buy it. I declined and blocked. Then it sold to another buyer listed as being in China, shipping to Portland with a line and address, care of Toy 89634. eBay checked and said it is a drop shipping. Said it is a drop shipping address and will not count against me as a cancellation. Interesting. I don't think I've ever had a problem like that. I would imagine that's more prevalent in other categories, but I can't say that's happened to me before. Um, wow, rock groups around 2003. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't. I mean, I was like 10 years old at the time that postcard was made, so I wasn't listening to rap around that time. But I did grow up listening to Jay-Z and several of the other rappers on that card, so it was kind of nostalgic for me to find that card too. Um, let's see. I'll catch up with that in a minute. Oh, or catch up with the rest of the chat in a minute. This one is another one I got in York. I think York. Um, actually, I might have listed this one before York. I'm not 100% sure, but this is Cerulean. Actually, I don't think this card is York. Cerulean, Kentucky. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. Anyway, this postcard, I couldn't find any other up from this town, but other views I found that had sold were $15 to $20 range. It's not the most exciting view. If it was of the hotel, I think some of the hotel maybe sold for a little bit more, but for a scenic nature view, just priced at $19.95. I got an offer of $15 on this one, which I declined, and then I think the same buyer paid full price for it, and I priced it up a little bit just because there weren't any others currently listed. So I'll I'll put a little bit of premium on cards if I go look at solds and they've all sold, $15 and there's none currently listed. I'll add a little bit of a premium to it. This is a New Jersey card, Dell & Co., New Jersey, Shore Clubhouses, and I think this one sold for full price. I might have sent an offer, but either $19.95 or around $17. And this one is one I got in York, so it wasn't as good as I thought it was. I did pay $8 before discount for this card. Murfreesboro, Tennessee is a pretty small town. For some reason, I thought since this was a courthouse, I would have been able to get in the $40 to $50 range, even with the damage, but it just wasn't comping out. Still made my money back plus a little extra, but yeah, that card wasn't as good as I thought it was. That one sold for $19.95. This is the Masonic Hall and Myers Funeral Home in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Funeral homes sell really well, even when the view's not super exciting or impressive. I did list another card of this same funeral home that is a much more beautiful card in my opinion, but it is a lithograph, and I priced them at the same $39.95. This real photo sold first, and the buyer told me they would have bought the litho too, but they already had it. And yeah, I thought it was a really, I can actually show you. Let's see, Myers Funeral Home, Mount Vernon. But it was just, the hand coloring on it was just incredible. But funeral homes sell really well. I always look out for funeral homes. Yeah, here's the card that is still available for sale. But just look at the, let me make it bigger. Just look at this card. It's so beautiful, even though it's just the building, the front of the building. Like, if you have the choice, and the buyer already had the card, so it's not like he chose the real photo over this card. But, and sometimes, I mean, usually I prefer real photos to printed cards or hand-colored cards, but if you look at this card, that's just not doing it for me. But this one is just so beautiful, and the brickwork on the building is incredible. How they have the multicolored bricks and the kind of like diagonal bricks there. They've got their little signage right there, Myers Funeral Service. And even you can see the trees reflecting in the window. I just think this is a beautiful, beautiful card of a funeral home, and that's why I priced it the same as the real photo. But that one is still for sale. Was recently listed though. This was another funeral home that sold the same day to the same buyer. This is the Sullivan Funeral Home. I didn't get these in York, by the way. I got these in a lot Can't remember exactly where, but this is the Sullivan Funeral Home, Bristow, Oklahoma. From the front, it just looks like any other building, and might not even be one that you pulled a list. But you got to take a close look, because if you look right there, you can see it says Sullivan Funeral Home, and in the collection, I actually posted this one in the Unidentified Photo Facebook group, but I went back through the collection and found it was actually near or right next to a card from Bristow, Oklahoma. And there was a Sullivan Funeral Home in Bristow. I don't know how to pronounce that, Oklahoma. So I assume that was it. And in the group, they did confirm that based on the maps, it looks like it was in Bristow, Oklahoma. So that was a neat one. It did, so even with the damage, sold for $49.95. And I had two better sales. Both of these cards came from York. This card I did pay $10 for before discount. And it sold for $64.95. I maybe could have gotten a little bit more for this card. So there were comps from several years ago as high as around $120, but there were also comps under $20 for a white border era card. And I knew this one was better than the white border card. I didn't know exactly how much. And I actually had it priced at $49.95, and I went back and changed it right before I listed it to $64.95. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to add a little extra on here. If I have to discount it, I have to discount it, but I'd rather have it for too long than have it sell quickly. And it did sell. It took a few days, but it did sell for full price, $64.95. Like I said, one several years ago sold for over $100, but there weren't any other comps like that. So I didn't really feel comfortable pricing mine that high. Maybe I should have. The next one too, I might have could have gotten a little bit more out of, but I had really good luck with. I mean, I haven't listed even half the cards I got from York yet, but so far I've had really good luck with the cards I paid up for, and mostly the states and topics that I know the best, like Tennessee and Georgia. But cards that I paid good money for, I've been selling for really good money, and they've been better than like the dollar and $2 cards that I've gotten, which you would imagine. But a lot of the dollar and $2 cards I got just, they're nice, and some of them are selling $10 to $20, but I don't know. I like shopping the more expensive cards at shows. You do have to be careful, definitely, and I don't shop a lot of categories that I don't know as much about, but it can be worth it to pay up for cards at shows if you think you could sell it for a decent bit more. And I figured for this card I could get at least $20. And there are definitely some cards that I paid up for at York that I might only, make a few extra dollars after fees, but I think it's been worth taking the risk. And this next card is one I paid up for. It's probably the most expensive one I bought at the show to resell. And this is the corner of Smith and Adams Street in Tennille, Georgia. If you see this card and you're not intimately familiar with Georgia postcards, or at least very familiar with Georgia postcards, you would probably pass it up because the dealer had $18 on this one, and that is what I paid before the discount. But they had an entire box of Georgia cards. So the dealer I got this card from had some really nice stuff in there. They had a lot of more common stuff too, but they had some nice stuff, and I was willing to pay up. I think I only looked through their Georgia and Tennessee boxes. Maybe I looked through a few other states that I know really well too, but with dealers that price their cards, with collectors in mind, I really only like shopping the topics and states that I know the best. So I don't know who else would have been willing to pay $18 for this one unless you're familiar with this town or really familiar with Georgia. But Tennille, Georgia is a really good seller. As you can see there, I priced it to $19.95. I did go back and forth about how high I should price it, and I thought about going around 150. I eventually settled on pricing it higher because this card is not a super impressive view. It's just a view on a neighborhood street showing an old house. It's not a famous house or anything. So really, if I'm pricing this card as a dealer, I really shouldn't have priced it at 220. But I priced it that high because I know there's a lot of collectors from Tyndall, Georgia, or at least a few that are willing to pay high prices for cards. And I couldn't find this card having sold. So it was kind of a rarity or scarcity factor is why I priced it so high. But I did take a much lower offer. I took $150 for this card. And when I got it, I believe the buyer has bought from me before. I've sold a couple other Tyndall, Georgia cards, and I assume they had bought one or two. But I'm happy with $150. I maybe could have held out, got 175 to 200 maybe. But I did take the 150 for this card, and I paid after discount probably little less than 15 bucks for this card. And 10x on any card like that is really good. And I'll say before I stop the what sold section of the video, one thing it shows why I really like the higher dollar cards is because you can make so much more money per card than with the $1 and $2 cards. So I can pick out $1 and $2 cards that shows all day that'll sell for 10 plus dollars. That's not really difficult to do, but when you're thinking about the time it takes, I made after fees and everything, I made like probably 120 plus dollars on this card. And I'm to make the same amount on the $1 and $2 cards, I'd have to pick out probably 15 plus cards. So it's just less work for more money. And yeah, I really like shopping the more expensive cards from dealers. They don't all work out this well. Some of the cards that I bought at the show, I am sure I will just break even on or only make a few dollars on, but you gotta take some risks to make money like this. And this one wasn't a huge risk because I had sold Tyndall, Georgia cards before, and I had a pretty good feeling. But like this one was more of a risk. But I figured, based on what I know about Tennessee cards, I figured I could get at least $20 for it. So I'm never really putting myself in a situation where think I'm gonna lose money on a card or think it's a possibility that I could lose money on a card. Worst case scenario when I'm taking risks like this is maybe after fees I don't really make anything, or maybe after fees and after I send a discount I don't really make anything. So that's what sold this week. A lot of talking. I'll get back to the chat here. Let's see here. Alan, tip 22. My Rollo was not advancing label fully after printing. AI said to set print speed to 4 and density to 2. It worked. My density was a 9 and the printer overheats and sticks. Interesting. I wonder where it got that from. I'm guessing a Reddit thread where somebody had that issue and there was a comment that said that. But I'm sure they picked it up from some forum or something. That's good to know, though. Nancy said my problem buyers are all the other items. Postcard and antique paper people are the best. Yeah, exactly. Like I said when I read your first comment, I've never had that issue with a postcard, and I think, was that even with a postcard? Or is that a different item? Because I'm just rereading it now, and I don't know if you say for sure if it was a postcard or not. But I've definitely heard of that happening before with other items on eBay. So it's good that you had the experience and knew to be cautious about it. But I haven't had that happen to me personally with a postcard. But it doesn't mean that it couldn't happen with a postcard. Just it's a lot less common, it seems. Vintage649 said, what does everyone think of sample cards from different printers? I've run across several recently. So there are a few different thoughts about sample cards. Postcard dealers will tell you it usually adds a buck or two, maybe slightly more, depending. And I would generally agree with that. All other things being equal, if you have a card that has sample and has prices on it, I would say you can maybe ask for a little bit more. Now, if it just has sample, I don't really know. I don't add more in that situation. I only add more when it's a sample that has pricing information on it, like order 1,000 cards for $10 or whatever. But again, there's not a huge market for those type of cards because they are fairly common to find. So your market is basically someone who already has a regular copy of the card and really wants the copy with the sample on it. There aren't people, I mean, I'm sure there are, but there aren't people that I have met and I know of that are like rabid sample card collectors and are just buying up as many as they can. Most likely your buyer is going to be somebody who already collects that view or that town and has the card without the sample on it, and wants your version, is maybe willing to pay $1 or two more. But it doesn't add anything. It doesn't add a crazy amount of value. And I think Mary Martin in her book with David Bowers talks about those type of cards and adding a couple dollars in value for those. Ashley said, "Hi friends, joined just in time to see that tip about Rollo not advancing properly. I have that issue only when printing labels for eBay standard envelope. Ground Advantage labels print and advance fully so I can tear it. Yeah, I always have to be really careful with tearing mine. I don't know what it is, but they have. So this one right here, I have a Rollo over there too, but they both have the teeth that are supposed to help cut the labels, but I never am able to get those to work right, and it ends up tearing the paper all the time. So what I do is kind of gently hold the part that's still in the scanner and then tear off the part that I printed. But yeah, I don't have a lot of good luck tearing the labels off when after they've been printed. But as far as trouble printing, I don't think I've ever had any issues printing. And I did actually, uh, I would have said this in my What Sold video yesterday, but I was shocked that I just showed all my orders for this last week, and I had almost 100 orders to ship out Monday morning because I put my store on time away Thanksgiving and Friday. So anything bought after sometime on Wednesday, I didn't ship out until Monday. So basically 5 days without shipping, and I had a lot of orders. And I generated all of those labels from eBay, and it did not have any issues. I think that I don't know why I did them all at once. I was definitely tempting the eBay gods there because I have so many problems generating labels, but I was so happy when it said, I think it ended up being like 85 or 90 labels generated successfully, and I was extremely happy that I didn't have to worry about figuring which ones didn't generate and reprinting and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really have any problems printing labels for anything. I didn't have any with my Rollo. I don't with this new one, which I forget the name of. But the newer one I have is a pretty cheap one. It was just some company gave it to me for doing a video about it, so I figured better to have two than one. So I have that one behind me to my, what is this, my left? It's the right on the screen, but it's my left. Yeah, I can't say I've had problems printing them. Let me know. Oh, actually, let me go ahead and do the second postcard of the week. I'm running out of things to talk about. Actually, I think I have some more things to talk about. Never mind. I don't plan anything ahead of time to talk about usually. So sometimes in the video I will, or sometimes in a live stream I might run out of things to say, but I just remembered what I was going to say. Anyway, I'll still show this other postcard of the week. This was another good one that I bought in York for my collection. I got this one from Mary Martin, I believe. I bought most of the ones that I got to collect from Mary Martin. I saved her table to go to last and left after I shopped with her, but she had so many incredible cards at really good prices too. This is R&D Heating and Appliance. It was in her advertising section. I just love the storefronts like this. And this kind of is related to the one I showed at the beginning of the video, the Kodak one. And I'll show that one again, Ashley, because I know you weren't here for that, and I'm sure a few other people weren't either. But this one, just such a nice linen card of a heating and appliance company, which is another type of store you don't really see as much these days. But yeah, not much to say. I like that it's a night scene. The colors on it are incredible. How the store is lit up inside, and I love the contrast between the bright yellow inside and the black night outside. You can see the door number there, 200, and 200 Kings Highway East, Haddonfield, New Jersey. Let me actually look up to see if that building is still standing. East in Haddonfield. I always get curious if, because sometimes the build. Oh, this is super cool. Yeah, this building is still here. It looks like they added on to the top, or either they didn't. Either they cut out part of the building for this postcard, or they've added on to it. But it is still there. It's right there. It's maybe I'll have to message Countryway Bridal Haddonfield is what it is now. I'll have to message them a copy of this card if they have an Instagram or something. But yeah, let me show you. So burn this image into your brain, and then I will show you what it looks like today. And oftentimes the buildings are not still there, so it's cool to see that this one is. And pretty much, I mean, it's changed a little bit. Like, it looks like they added to the top, but I have to remove that first. There you go. There it is, right there. You can see it looks pretty similar to how it did in that postcard, except it looks like they added a house on top of it. But yeah, that was the what was it? The appliance store. And now it is a Countryway Bridal, which I guess has wedding dresses and stuff. So pretty neat. Right next to a CVS, it looks like, in Haddonfield, New Jersey. This looks like a little, what is this, a little shopping area? A little strip mall? Oh, it looks like, yeah, a lot of buildings had the same, or that building has a similar design right there. But that is definitely our building right there. So that's really neat. And just to show this Kodak store one more time, this is the postcard of the week from earlier in the video. In case you missed it, only going to keep it on the screen for a second, but just a cool storefront of a camera store circa 1982, and not super old, but really neat. You can pause the video if you want a longer look at that one. Alan said, I have a buy 3, get 1 free sale on $30 and below postcards. I like it. Probably no one does it. And when they do, I make out great. Yeah, I used to do something similar. I don't anymore. But I can't remember exactly what I did. It was maybe buy 2 and get something, a % off, something like that. But yeah, I just do a flat 25% off discount. I like that though, because it encourages people to shop more, and anything that encourages people to go to your store and look at what you have is a pretty good, what's the word? Pretty good encouragement, or pretty good to encourage people to do that, just to get people to buy multi-quantity stuff. So yeah, always good to get people to buy more. For RPPC fans, I just got the book Real Photo Postcards, Pictures from a Changing Nation. It's a wonderful book. I think I have that one. Let me look it up. Real Photo Postcards, Pictures from a Changing Nation. Yes, I have that one. That is... Who did this? Oh, yeah, it's from Leonard Lauder's Postcards. Yeah, I definitely have that book. It released in 2022. I remember when it came out. Guess I'm getting old. No, that's a good one to pick up for sure. It's a nice coffee table style book. Just got a lot of great images in there. I have way too many tabs open. Let me close some of these out real quick. Wow, I'm looking at the video on the other screen, and you really can't. I was looking at the what sold part, and yeah, you can't really see what any of the values are. I saw that, what what is it? StreamYard was having a Black Friday sale of 50% off, but even 50% off is still too expensive for what I would be getting. I'm sure some people that live stream more frequently or have more subscribers, it would be worth it for them, but for me, it's not really worth it to pay that much for StreamYard Pro to get the 1080p HD videos. You'll just have to deal with 720, unfortunately. The other thing I was going to ask is if anybody, and I'll probably wrap up here in a minute, actually. So if anybody has any more questions while I'm live, drop them in the chat. The other thing I was going to ask is if anybody has experience here with Norfolk Island pines. I got one last year, and I know they need bright light, and I think I've been overwatering it. It's just been dropping so many branches. I moved it to a different, I kind of pruned it, cut down a lot, and I moved it to a different place where it gets more sun. I'm going to try watering it less, but I really like how Norfolk Island pines work, but I've never been able to keep one alive for more than a couple years. This one I got last year, and I want it to thrive. So if you have any tips for Norfolk Island pines, let me know, because I am struggling with this one. Although I do have my other indoor plant that I'm really proud of is a jade, and it is flowering. I have never seen a jade flower before. I had to look up if jades flowered because I thought I saw a little flower coming out. I was like, no way. But they do, and mine is. Right now it only has one flower, and fixing to be two. But I thought it was really cool, and the jade is doing really well. I don't have any problems caring for that. But the Norfolk Island pine, if any master gardeners are in the chat and can tell me what it may need, please let me know. Like I said, I am going to water it a little bit less just because the soil, it had been like a week since I watered it, and the soil was still damp on top, so I figured it was getting too much water. So I'm watering it a little bit less, and I moved it to a place where it gets more sun, and hopefully it starts doing well. But if you have any other tips, any type of fertilizer I can add to it, anything like that, please let me know. I am all ears for the Norfolk Island pine. Kelly said a few of us do buy three get one. Been doing it for a couple of years. About 10% of my monthly orders use the coupon. It's all right. Oh, cool. Well, that's still pretty good because I would say, I mean, that means 10% of your orders order 4 or more postcards. So that's pretty good if you're trying to move inventory. I think, I mean, I could offer both. Well, I couldn't actually offer both because I don't want to do buy three get one free on top of 25% off. And personally, I like the 25% off for my inventory because a lot of times buyers only want one card, and I'd rather do the discount on older inventory. And I don't think as many buyers are going to be willing to look for more cards that they're interested in, but it's still pretty good. And if I could maybe segment it, I would. No, I don't know. I like the 25% off. I do. Vintage649 said, did you get the margin info for the new Fujitsu or Ricoh scanners? Yes. So the scanner person got back to me and they said that basically the consumer model Fujitsu or Ricoh does not do the margins. The new scanner that they put out doesn't do that. You can get a more expensive model. I think it's the 8170, but I want to say the 8170 was around $600 used or $1,000 plus new. So that's way too big of an investment for me when I have a perfectly good scanner right here. But somebody also told me that you can get third-party software to use with your scanner that adds margins. I have tried third-party scanner software in the past, but it just didn't work as well as the default out-of-the-box software, and I gave up on it. But if anybody has used third-party software with the Fujitsu or Ricoh scanner that adds borders around the edges, let me know, and I'll definitely give it a try. But yeah, the short answer is it doesn't do with out-of-the-box software, but maybe can with third-party software. Have given up, and I'm not gonna buy a $300 scanner just on the hopes that I can find some third-party software that works with it. So if anybody has experience, let me know. Nancy said, "Don't give up on your banana. I have plants that die back outside, then resprout in the spring." Yeah, it for sure might come back. Hopefully, will come back. I don't know if that's how banana trees work, though. To be honest, it could though. I just don't know enough about it. But it looks very dead currently. But I don't. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go out there with an axe and chop it down. But it's pretty much like it just gets water whenever it rains. So there's nothing I do to take care of it. So I'm not necessarily giving up on it, but I'm also not doing anything, which is what I've always been doing, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'll leave it up until maybe spring and then chop it down or whatever. It is very high. I will have to chop it down probably. It grew a ton in just like 6 months. Old Man in the Stream said, anyone know of a Facebook group that will attempt to identify locations in old photos? I don't know any that do photos. I just know the photo postcard group, and they're very strict about everything being a postcard. But I don't know any that do photos. Sorry. I would say for most photos though, you can do just about as good of research as most groups if you have newspapers.com and you search for stuff, and if you use Google Lens to reverse image search. um, yeah, if you use those tools, then that's pretty. And genealogy sites too can help out if you know of some people that are in your photo. Alan said bought a new Epson on Black Friday sale, $99 off on their website. Nice. Is that the 580W or a different model? And the Rico person too did tell me that, or I don't think this was the actual Rico person, but like the representative from the scanner company told me that it was a software feature. Maybe it was the Rico person. I don't know. I talked to too many people. That it was a software feature, not a hardware feature, to add the borders around the edges. So theoretically, third-party software should be able to do that. I'm just not aware of any third-party software that works with that particular scanner, that does add the margins around the edge. But if you know of a great third-party software that can add the borders and works with the latest Fujitsu, then I will give it a shot. But I don't want to just do it blindly in hopes that I can find something. Both are excellent storefront cards, nice scores. Yeah, I think both of those were Mary L. Martin cards or Mary Martin cards. I got several. She had a really great advertising section. They were very helpful. A lot. I mean, some of the dealers there were just a little grumpy, which I don't know. I feel like is common at postcard shows, and not that they're necessarily, not that you can't really ask them questions, but they maybe had a lot of people at their table or somebody else they were helping, or just weren't in the mood to look for stuff. But Mary and Joey were very helpful at helping me find stuff I was interested in, and I got a lot of cards from them. Yes, the 580W, that's a good one. Well, it's the only one I have. The other ones are good too, but thanks. Maybe I'll sub to the newspaper site. I think I will probably be canceling soon. It's not as expensive as Ancestry, but it's still fairly expensive. But I say that every time, and then I research an RPPC and, take a $20 card to a $50 card or something. But I do sub to it. It's pretty expensive. I think it's like $75 a quarter or something, which works out to $25 a month. And I don't even know. That might be around what Ancestry costs. I do use it a lot more than I used Ancestry. I did have a subscription to Ancestry in the past, but that has lapsed, and I just don't use it that much. Okay. So newspapers, I was a little bit off. It's $75 for a 6-month subscription instead of every quarter, so works out to about $12, $13 a month. Not terrible, but I don't know. You probably don't need to have it. It's very helpful with unidentified real photos. And it can be helpful for some printed cards that you're trying to research something on, but I mean, most printed cards tell you what they are. So really, if you deal in a lot of real photos, it's probably worth it, but it is pretty expensive. And I hate how many subscriptions I have. Speaking of, I really need to cancel WorthPoint. It's just been a huge pain in the ass the last few weeks. It has been so slow. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, but I will have to just go to other tabs. If I'm listing postcards and using WorthPoint, I will type something into WorthPoint and hit enter and then leave to another tab for like 20 seconds and then come back because it's just that slow. And I checked yesterday because it's like, is this just my computer having issues with one website for some reason? I didn't think it was my computer, but before I blamed WorthPoint, I wanted to be sure, and I checked like a is it down for me or everyone else website, and sure enough, it was down for everyone, and it's just I'm just sick of WorthPoint. I pay like $30 a month or $26.99, something like that, and for that price, the website should at least work. I don't think I'm asking too much. And I use WorthPoint less and less. It's just kind of like a safety blanket at this point. Um, and I don't think it provides that much actual value to me, but I don't know. Maybe I should just cancel it for a month and see how it feels. I do. I don't know why. I just despise WorthPoint. I don't think they offer any. I think they're like a. They're just a middleman, basically. They don't. I mean, they kind of offer a valuable service, but also they just don't they don't make anything. All they're doing is scraping data from other websites and then putting it on their website, which doesn't seem to be that hard to do. And I know there are somebody who's mentioned in the chat before like a WorthPoint copycat website, which was funny because it used the exact same like color scheme and everything and layout. But I don't know. I just really don't like WorthPoint. I think the reason why I'm so sour on WorthPoint is because when I was having issues and I emailed their customer support, they never responded to me. All they sent me was the email that said, "Hey, thanks for your email. We'll be in touch soon." And they never responded to me. And that really bothered me because if you're a company taking $30 from me every single month, and I've paid for WorthPoint for what, 3 or 4 years now? So I've given WorthPoint probably over $500. Actually, definitely over $500. Maybe even over $1,000. Let me see. I've probably given WorthPoint over $1,000. And 25 times. Yeah, I've almost certainly given WorthPoint over $1,000 since I started selling. And yes, I've gotten some value. But if I'm paying you that much, the least you can do is respond to your customer that's having issues with your website. So that's probably the main reason why I don't really like WorthPoint. And also I just don't think they invest much time and energy into making their website decent. It just kind of sucks. Um, but anyway, that's enough for my WorthPoint rant. This will be the last 2-minute warning. If you have any more questions, drop them in the chat, and then I'll be getting off and finishing up work for the day. Old Man the stream said I've done all the other stuff. Oh, you mean the subscriptions? Yeah, like I said, you don't necessarily need it, but it is nice to have, and I do use it a couple times a week, probably 1 to 2 times a week, maybe. Alan said it is fun to find out where an RPPC is. I found with a loop a store name and found it in a newspaper in Hawaii in the 1940s. Yeah, it's really, it almost, you feel like a little detective when you research stuff like that. And I mean, you can't find everything on newspapers.com, but it has a lot of smaller town newspapers. And if a small town didn't have a newspaper, chances are there's a little bit bigger of a town near them that did and put news in it for their town. So there's a lot of information on newspapers.com. And if there's uh, something in your image that you can make out, like a sign or something, a street name, a hotel name, something like that, then chances are you might be able to find something and identify where it is. But newspapers.com is really good. Just doing a simple reverse Google image search is really good. Um, yeah, those are the two biggest tools I use the most. WorthPoint sometimes I use to help identify cards. So eBay obviously only keeps data for the last 3 years. And if a card sold before, then it could be out there. So I will sometimes use Worth Point to identify a card and see if it has sold before. Anyway, those are my last 2 minutes of the day. Did stay on for an hour, a little bit longer than I expected to, but had a fun time. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are what I'm thankful for this season. And I hope you all had a good week last week. We're getting what, like 3 weeks away from Christmas, which is crazy. It's just time is going by way too fast. Hope everybody's having a good holiday season. I am looking forward to watching Georgia probably lose to Alabama again this weekend. They are rematching in the SEC championship. Georgia has good football teams, but they can never really beat Alabama, which is sad. But um, you know, it gives you something to look forward to. Because if Georgia just won every game and they never lost to anybody, then I don't think they'd be as fun to watch. But they lose to Alabama so much that it's a nice little goal for them to achieve in the future, beating Alabama, which hopefully will be Saturday. But I am expecting Alabama to win a very close game again, which usually happens. Anyway, thanks again everybody for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday. Have a good one.